Hello lovely people! Last time we painted the stars of our show, and as I promised, now it's the time for finish this project and make it ready for competitions and the showcase. So, in this video you will see a bit of everything. Weathering, construction, vegetation and ambientation will be the main dishes. Ready or not, I'm starting. I mixed a dark brown wash from dark brown, black and drying retarder. I kind of painted the lines of the balcony tiles. The drying retarder gave us time to work. After a minute, I started to blend the wash and to clean the central parts of each tile. The goal was to distinguish each tile from the next. Now it was time to glue the fence. Medium CA was used, nothing really special here. I started the weathering with sponge chipping. A very bright green tone was mixed with white and lime green. Again, drying retarder was used. I applied the sponge dots here and there. Always roll the sponge so you don't fall into patterns. Then, with pale sand, I started to connect some spots with a fine brush. I also made some other scratches. In the end, a mixture of dark brown and neutral grey was used instead of rust tones. I was able to blend it in because drying retarder was used. When you are working with oils, you must put them on a piece of cardboard to get rid of excess oil. I did this first thing in the morning before I started the chipping step. I took some raw amber to the palette and thinned it down using white spirit. This mixture was applied where the deepest shadows should be. Because of the white spirit, the paint dries fast. After a few minutes, I started the blending process. Always use a dry brush. After the initial blending, you can use a soft makeup brush to further blend the oil. At the end, I further feathered the ends with some white spirit. Raw amber oil was thinned even more to make a wash. I applied this to all the crevices. I started to take away excess wash with a cotton swab and white spirit. At the end, everything was blended with a soft dry brush. I put some white oil directly from the cardboard on the makeup brush. Now we will do some dry brushing for lights, and we must get rid of most of the paint. I started to dry brush the decorative parts. I concentrated this step on the upper parts mostly. At the end, I even treated some parts of the facade to make it look more lived in. Time for some earth tones. I applied burnt sienna with white spirit on the facade. The first blend was done with the brush and some white spirit, and the end blending with the dry makeup brush. As you see, you must work quickly. Viridian green was used to simulate the result of humidity. The blending was done with a saw brush. You should start at the bottom and go up. Those brushes work perfectly. I recommend them. My very intelligent brother suggested that the balcony has no angle for the rain, so I listened to him and treated the upper part the same way. Streaking rust effects from ammo was used for the balcony. First, I applied it straight from the bottom, and after a few minutes I started to blend it with a brush and some white spirit. First, I enlarged some gaps in the cobblestone to make room for the moss. As with the previous time, I used shredded oregano spice for the moss, but this time I pass it through a fine sieve. Apply some PVA into the gaps, and then sprinkle some moss on the glue. Take away the excess by blowing. When the moss was dry, I took a big soft brush and brushed all the moss lightly to get rid of excess pieces. For the painting, I used khaki and lime green colors. First, the khaki shade was prepared into the wash with drying retarder. You should soak up all the moss with the khaki wash. If it blends into the surroundings a little, it's only good. Then, take a bright green color and try to hit the top parts of the moss. As you can see, it is getting some life. I downloaded some German propaganda posters from the Italian period. After some resizing, I got the right dimensions. I applied some PVA with water on the posters and glued it to the house. Make sure that you don't glue them perfectly aligned. Some destruction was applied to both of them to make them look more lifelike. Now our scene is ready for some dust. For the dust I used a Mia buff. The formula is simple: a lot of thinner and a small amount of paint. Apply the dust in light coats. I concentrated on the lower half of the house, but I also put some on the balcony and on the upper windows. And after this step, I consider the weathering done. Let me know in the comments what you think. And don't forget to push the subscribe button and to smash that bell icon. Gennaro needed a rifle stripe. I crafted that from masking tape. The problem was that he was holding the stripe in his hand, so the task was a little bit trickier. Klaus was laughing in the corner. After some swearing, the stripe was finished, and also Klaus was not laughing anymore. I quickly painted it with the leather belt color. It was finally time to put the figures on the stage. I left the wire in only one shoe, so that I could easily adjust the position. One hole per figure was drilled. A lot of care went into establishing the contact between the figures. At the end, the bicycle was added. The story with the bicycle is interesting. I read the regulations of the World Model Expo where I'm going to find out that I need a vehicle if I want to put my work into the diorama category. A close colleague, Tommaso, gave me this nice German bike. It's already painted, and I only need to dust it with Ammo Light Dust. I like to use newspapers to fill empty parts of the scene. When you decide the position, simply soak them with PVA and water and put them in place realistically. For the dried leaves I used shoebox paper. I quickly colored them in autumn tones. The leaf puncher from Green Stuff World was used when they were dry. The application is similar to the newspapers. When you're happy with the positions, glue them in place with some dots of PVA. I designed the title plate in Canva. It is online and it's free. You should check it out, it's great. I colored the dots in Italian colors, but they were not visible, so I quickly retouched them. I covered the plate with large transparent tape. Then I glued it to some cardboard with stick glue. The bond was weak, so I used some PVA to glue it properly. To avoid eventual peeling of the tape, I impregnated the edge with extra thin CA. The excess was taken away with a cotton swab. Finally, the edge was carefully painted in black. Before this step, I was gradually bending the cardboard in order to meet the curvature of the scene. And now it was time to mount the plate. The surface of the scene is rough, so I applied a lot of dots of medium CA. Hopefully, some of them will eventually grab something. And here we have it.
Oh, Klaus, ma vaffan.
You can imagine the rest. The Fragile Alliance is there to help the non-Italian public. The main point of this project was the Schratchbuild house. The two figures and the story are there because we are making dioramas here, right? I'm happy with the overall result, but the scene lacks some details. I didn't plan them in the beginning, and this was the main problem. In the next project, this problem will be hopefully solved because I have been planning it for a long time. I must move out of my comfort zone and approach a natural scene with rocks and trees. But don't worry, there will be a piece of cobblestone road too. For the next two episodes, you will get summer content. 2 short videos, so you will have something to watch during my family vacation and the World Model Expo 2022. Yes, I'm going to the Mundial. If you will be there too, we can meet and have a beer. In the meantime, you know what to do, right? Bye.